Hey, I don't know if you've been on YouTube this week, this month. It's September 2025. Have you ever wondered if all these dream, vision, rapture, God responding to people, confirmations are real? Or are people just seeing numbers and having confirmation bias? And are people just, connecting dots? I mean, we can see things anywhere that we want to make a pattern and get some red yarn and go from push pin to push pin on a map and start to connect things that maybe they're not supposed to be. I'm a doubter. I'm a skeptic. I'm someone who wants to test a lot of that, and when it doesn't resonate with you, it's hard to believe, right? I can be one of those people. I've seen a few things in the last few weeks that stopped me in my tracks and gave me a stirring, gave me a bit of adrenaline rush, gave me an inclination. Call it what you want. It stopped me and caught my attention in a way that every passing number and sign and word or whatever thing that someone else has got as a confirmation just didn't stick with me. It's all right. It wasn't for me, you know. Maybe they're hearing something I don't hear. Maybe they're on some different level that, they get confirmations that way and I don't. I've been skeptical, right? So I've been praying about it, which have a conversation with God. It doesn't need to be too formal. He's patient, loving Father. He'll hear you. Just say what's on your mind. Let him know. Let him know what you're concerned with. Let him know what you're thinking. So I did. I said, hey, fewer words, formal words. I don't get this. And he showed me a few things that made me hit the brakes. So I thought, okay, those are even numbers. Those are numbers you might hear in the Bible. Those are numbers that people are talking about a lot. So I'm gonna start looking for them. Right? I have reticular activation, I think, where I start to see things or become more aware of those things. Call it what you want again. I wasn't looking for something, so I thought, you know what I'll do? I'm just gonna pull a weird number and just see. It's probably just nonsense, right? So I pulled my office number and I looked it up, and it's mentioned one time in the Bible. One time. And it goes something like this. Jesus reappears to his disciples. They're out fishing. They go back to their regular jobs. He picked fishermen. He picked people who smelled like fish, who did dirty work, who were out in the water and the mud and the dirt. And he picked these people to be his followers, to be his biggest voices while he was on earth, to be his tribe that learned with him, that learned from him, that saw these miracles and then went out and told about it and shared about it and saw miracles themselves. Well, he reappears to them after he died, was buried, and then rose again. And some of his disciples were fishermen. They went back to fishing. They said, let's go fishing. They go out all night. They haven't caught anything. Sound familiar? This is kind of familiar to the story of when he first called them to follow him. So he's there sitting on the shore while they're out in the morning, and he's making breakfast. And he says, hey, you guys caught anything? I said, no. He said, throw your net over on the other side. Like, there's only a couple choices out there, but for whatever reason, okay, let's try this other thing that, of course, they should have started to catch on. That's what he did the first time he met them. And they pulled in so many fish in that story and that account that the nets broke, and they had to call all these extra boats and people over to help them bring in this humongous haul. So maybe some of this is clicking. Maybe it's a little bit familiar to them. Well, this time he says, well, throw your net over on the other side. They do, and it starts over. There's an abundance. There's so much. The other boat that's out with them comes over to help. And Peter, the fisherman, the disciple of Jesus, the follower of Jesus, realizes what's going on, and he jumps in the water and swims to shore before they even haul in the fish. He's freaking out. He knows it's Jesus again. He knows it's a miracle again. He gets there. The other boat hauls the stuff in, and Jesus says, hey, bring some of the fish you just caught. So they do, and they pull it up. I'm going to read this. So Jesus said to them, this is John chapter 21, verse 10 in the New King James, or you can read the Old King James, just KJV. So he says, bring some of the fish which you have just caught. Simon Peter went up and dragged the net to land, full of large fish, 153. And all there were so many, the net was not broken. So Jesus provided when they listened to him, when they were doing their regular people, not apostle, not saint, not preaching jobs, maybe just a hobby. They went back to regular people stuff, and they were out doing that, and they were flailing around and didn't come up with anything, came up literally empty-handed. And Jesus says a simple instruction to fishermen. The guy from shore tells them, throw your net on the other side. And why would I take instruction? I am the fisherman. I am the expert. Well, I've worked over a decade in building maintenance, and it's not a high-praised job. It's a dirty job. I worked in some dirty plumbing work, worked in some dirty crawl spaces, worked in some dirty environments, greasy, messy, yuck. Cleaned out detention center drain lines. I would change my clothes before I came home. Some dirty work, some underappreciated behind-the-scenes work. And Jesus called people who had lives doing dirty work, smelly work, messy work, disliked work, work that was not glorious and looked down on. And in the last year, there was an opening for an assistant director of facilities. This is to brag on God, not me. This is to brag on his goodness, not mine. Typically there's a supervisor and then the assistant director. And I applied for that supervisor's job. I applied for it. I came in really close, and I only got beat by 35 years of experience on campus. And I'm really happy with who they chose. I had no ill will at all, and I was really happy that he got chosen. He deserved the promotion, and thank God for it. And a few months after that, this position, the assistant director position, opened up. And I prayed about it, and it was a long couple of months to even know that the position was available to apply for, and I applied. And it was a few more months, and it was a few more months, and it took from June last year until December. So it was a 6-month process of waiting, of interviews, of waiting for answers, of interviews, and going through all the steps for, proper hiring. And last December, I went into work, and the director called me and came in. I can't. He said he had bad news. Or he said, there's no easy way to do this. And then he just said that you got the job. Congratulations. He made it sound like it was going to be bad news, but it was a promotion. I was not even sure how that would turn out. I was trusting God, because there were people who were very qualified for the job, and there were people who were far more experienced than I am, or had different skill sets than I have, and I trusted God. I give the credit to God for this job. I give the credit to God for the basic maintenance position that I had starting here, because he led me here, and I know that. So all praise to God, all glory to him for his goodness, his abundance. There's a story in the book of John, chapter 21, that I just read, that talks about Jesus giving a simple step of guidance, and there being an abundance when we obey. And the number that they caught when they obeyed was so much more than zero, so much more than everything they did to come up with. I'm going to show you my office number. Let's take a guess. So I thought I'd have fun and challenge God with a weird number. It's in the Bible. It's a story that connects to me better than anything I can think of. And it He is faithful. He's a God of abundance. He's a God who knows you by name. He knows you and your heart. And he knows what you need. He knows how to take care of you, and he knows how to meet your need in a physical world and your need in an everyday life with provision, with guidance when we stop and listen to his voice. He does amazing things. You can trust him today. Promise. And challenge him once in a while to remind you in a special way, and he will. Don't test him. Just invite him to help you see something in a new way. He's good. He loves you. You can trust him and follow him. He's enough.